Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Marcy here, and I'm delighted to have you joining me in the craft room today. Today's idea is kind of piggybacking off of the video that I showed you the other day about making labels on all of the different backgrounds. But instead what we're going to do today is make a booklet. Now this is an idea that I saw on a channel. It just randomly popped up, and the name of the channel I believe was Gina Makes It. So I will link that video down below and you guys can go check that out. It'll also be up in the cards up here, kind of up there. So you can always click on that directly from your screen when it gives you the prompt. So what she did was she was making booklets, little scrappy booklets. And the reason for that was because she finds it hard to use her stamps or just to stamp a bunch of things like we did the other day, just stamp a bunch of backgrounds and then cut them out. And so she had come up with this idea of just putting a bunch of little scrappy pieces together into a booklet. And then what she was doing was just taking her stamps and stamping into the booklet, and then she can take them out one by one or cut them or tear them out as she wants to use them. It's a really clever idea, and it's also a really great way to use up all of these scraps and things that you have on your desk. So her booklet was made primarily from older scrapbook papers, and she did not put any kind of cover on it. I liked her idea, but I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a different twist, and I also have all these envelopes I'm trying to use up. So what I did is I made a cover out of an envelope. This is kind of a basic like 9x6 size envelope, 6 by 9. I have them in white, and then I also have these goldy colored ones that are just slightly bigger. I'd found both of these at different times at the thrift store, big stacks of them. So they make a really great way to make a cover for your little scrappy booklet. And then I also thought that as you were taking pieces out, like maybe you wanted one that was further in, you know, maybe you'd stamped right here, but to get to it you had to tear out this. So that provides you a place to store those pieces that you're tearing out. You could also wrap this around if you want and make a closure like this. I went ahead and decorated the front, so I put this image on. I suppose I could still do that this way, but then it kind of covers up the image. So anyway, lots of options with this. Here's another one that I am working on, but I haven't sewn it together yet. So this is with the gold envelope and then just various background papers that you could stamp on, or if you don't want to stamp, this is also great. Just scoop up your scraps, turn them into a booklet, a usable piece, and then set it aside. And then these are pieces you could tear out for layering, for your collage, for backgrounds, or whatever. So these little booklets have a lot of uses. You don't have to be just limited to the stamping idea. When I first saw it, I was thinking of incorporating it into my stamping labels video, but I couldn't figure out how to marry the two. So I thought I'll just make you a video showing you how to do the booklet, and then you can decide if you prefer this method or if you prefer just using all the different background papers like we did in the video last week where I stamped labels. So now that we know what we're going to do, let's dive into this project, and I'll discuss some other options as we go. Done is taken that stack that I showed you the other day of ideas of things to stamp, and that's most of these papers came out of that stack from the last video, and then I've added a few extra. I just grabbed scraps of scrapbooking paper and things. I don't have a lot that are not cardstock weight, so these are just random ones, no rhyme or reason. And then at the end of this video I'm going to explain to you what I plan to do with these. So hang on a second because I forgot to get the envelope. What I decided was the best number of pages. I wound up at around 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 pieces of paper essentially. And then we're just going to fold them in half. The only thing that you want to be careful of is making sure that your scraps are not wider you know, too tall or too wide for this. As far as assembling these, I went ahead and just did the 3-hole pamphlet stitch in the middle. It's quick and simple. You could just run, if your sewing machine can do heavier duty thicknesses, just run a stitch of sewing here, or you could even open up your stapler and just staple right down the middle. And right at the moment, I can't remember how she did it in her video. She might have stapled it or she might have used her sewing machine. I don't honestly remember. I decided that just this quick little stitch is just as easy because you don't really have to measure. It's a simple way to stitch them together. So your options are endless. Then I took my envelope, and like I said, that one was a 9x6, and this one is slightly bigger. So if I cut everything to measure inside a 9x6 envelope, I know they will work for the gold one as well. So I left myself just a little bit of space. So we want it to be about 5.5, and it's 9 inches wide, so 8.5 by like 5.5. And happily, that measurement is exactly 8.5 by 5.5 is exactly the halfway point of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I believe the A4 size is just slightly longer. Aren't they like 11.5 by 8 or something? So an A4 size piece of paper would work as well. So what we're gonna do is just tear these down, and 8.5 by 11 sheet we'll just tear in half. And we'll go from there. You can use any kinds of paper, any kinds of leftover scrap, whatever it is you're wanting to do. Let's give each of them one of these, and let's give each of them one of these poetry pages. Why not? That came out of a poetry book. Let's do, you can't really see me thumbing through my stack here. I'm gonna set these up that way. I can't really see if I'm in frame or not because I have my camera up a little bit higher. There we go. But I thought maybe you might want to see me thumbing through. This is just from an old planner page, but this is great because it's got lines on it. There's a piece of, I think I used Kool-Aid dyeing on that one. I try to kind of, I mean, there's no real picky way that you have to do this, but I was just trying to kind of do like with like, you know. Here's a page from an old cookbook. Here's some of that map page. These also make really cute little Happy Mail booklets and gifts. Here's, I want to do music, but I think, oh, this one needs to be collaged with. It's all torn up. Let's move that aside. Here's one that would work, and it's also happens to be blank on the back, so that's really nice for stamping on because then you can get the aging on in the background of your label. This one was torn a little bit here, but I think once we tear it down to fit in the envelope, it may not matter too much. Paper bag. I don't know if I want that yet or not. I did want some ledger of some sort in each one. And see, I need to measure this really quick. I think this is 8.5 by 11. Mother-in-law's 10 key book. Okay, close enough. So let's tear one of these in half. Oh, you know what? I have a whole sheet of this, so I'm going to just tear this one in half as well. Any of those pages that you have extras of or you were planning to use in different projects, just put them in a booklet. I can't remember. I did see somebody a long time ago just scooped up all their extra pieces off their desk, folded them in half, and made a booklet, kind of like this. It was very disorganized and wonderfully messy. I'm not good with messy. I don't know how to do messy. Let's see, I would put these in, but I feel like I have so many plain pieces already that that's probably not not gonna look very good. So this one, let's see, I think this one would look nice. I mean, I'm always kind of keeping color and stuff in mind, but you literally don't have to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. By 11. Wow, that was not very straight, was it? Maybe I should be doing this one with my trimmer. Hang on a sec. Come on in, Chloe. My doggy's whooping because I have the door partially shut. My husband's out of the house. I think he may or may not come home in the middle, so if he does, there will be pandemonium, but I have my door partially shut, and she really hates that. Really, really hates it. Okay, so there's that. So how many do I have? That needs to go up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's take out that one because it's too plain. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I like the coffee dyed better than the Kool-Aid dyed. So, quick decisions being made over here. And now I'm going to set all these aside. I will be doing some more, again, off of camera, like I did in the last video. Just want to make some stuff off camera. Get a little stack going. So of all the projects that we've done recently, where we did the one from Rachel's challenge, where she did the little document holder kind of things, she folded them up and then we put the twine, punched a hole and put a twine and wrapped them shut. And then the other one that she did, where we took the big piece of paper and folded it in half and then folded it again and we just tucked things in. Any of these projects are great for this kind of thing where you have all these extra pieces of paper that you just want to make something cool with and get them off your desk. It'd probably be a really good way to just clean up after a project. So what I'm wanting to do right here is just measure these and see if the width and the height will fit within our 9x6. So let's see, that's 10. Okay, I'm just gonna tear that down so it's a little bit even. I guess I don't have to, do I? So 5.5 by, let's see, am I doing that right? Well, I was gonna try to tear them all at once, but my brain has short-circuited on me. Doesn't want to figure this out. So let's see. Here's the other way you can do it. Okay. Tear some off the top, tear some off the sides. Again, if you want to do the label stamping on the strips, you can save these. I think, like I said, I have a lifetime supply, so I'm good. Okay, so let's use this as a template for these two. So that one's almost, that one might be fine because when I trimmed these out of the book, I cut them kind of narrow anyway. Nope, still need some trimming. And let's take off that wide edge up here just because we can. Oops. Don't know what I'm going to call this video. Scrappy booklet from a mailing envelope or something like that. No idea. No idea. Okay. I think that might be okay. You okay? Nope, still a little wide and still, oh wow, that's really close. Let's tear a bit more off the bottom and a little bit off the edge. This paper does not like to rip. And then I have to go do the same thing with the other ones that are too big. Here we go. What are they? There we go. Okay, so this biggest one here, let's just measure it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was 9 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 by 6. Oh, same size as the envelope. Okay. One would think I could do this. Okay, I want to go 9 this way. I want to center that one. So 5 to 24, okay. Oh, 15 to 24. Sorry, I'm not saying the numbers out loud correctly. There we go. And by 5.5. 5.5. Okay, so this is at 5.5 right there. So we just follow that edge up. These guys will be the right height. There, that was a lot easier the second time, wasn't it? Okay. Then I just kind of folded it all in half. And just kind of put them together so they look nice, one after the other. It's not like it's a journal, so you don't have to be super precise. Just so it looks kind of pretty to you, or if you're going to give them away, it's nice to have a little artistry in the arrangement, right? Okay, I can't get the page to open up. Open. Thank you. I kind of like these numbers running across the bottom. And I also like things that are a little bit smaller to be towards the inside, towards the center, just so that when you get ready to sew them up, you can kind of tell. You can tell where you're sewing and where it's gonna be fine. Let's see, let's put this one in between. And that one. Let's put that there. Why not? There we go. So there's one. All arranged. Now on this white envelope, you don't have to do much, really. Oops. Trying to grab my bone folder and it was bringing everything with it. You don't really have to do too much to that for the envelope to work. Just stick it all in there. We're just going to kind of clamp it. Here we go. So there's that. Now if I do want this to wrap around, I need to remember that when I sew it shut. And some of these pages are sticking out a little bit far for that to work. So I think honestly right at the moment I'm not too worried about figuring out how to make a flap and do all that, but it would be cute. If you wanted to, you could. Since some of my pages are sticking out just a little too far for that to work, in fact I still probably need to trim down that music page. It's still sticking out too much. Okay buddy, you're just a little too wide. I don't know why. Probably because of where it is in the book pages. You know, as you stuff your book, sometimes the pages stick out further as they get closer to the middle, the center of the book. So even though they all start out the same size, this was not folded straight either, so let's do that. There we go. Even though they're not all, the papers all started out the same size, they push out a little bit further as they get to the center of the book, so you have to trim the pages closer to the middle more than you do the ones that are on the outside. Okay, so there's that one. And now we have this one. It's kind of nice to have the scrapbook paper on the outside, but you don't have to. You do you, man. And since let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I'm missing one now. What am I missing? 2. Ah, there it is. Music. Okay, and we can just follow the same basic arrangement from this other one because it looked good. So cookbook page, and this is just me being too fussy, literally. You don't have to do all this, but once I figured it out, I don't like to refigure stuff out. Cookbook page and workbook page. And then coffee dyed map graph music. Coffee dyed map. Not much difference between that coffee dyed and this color here, so I'm going to switch those around. Coffee dyed map graph music. And then ledger paper and poetry page. Nice. I like that it had that little folded down corner. Kind of cute. Okay, so this one won't matter as much because this envelope is wider, and so none of these pages will stick out beyond the edge, so it'll be fine. Now, what I did with the gold one, the gold envelope, is because this is going to get folded down the middle and it's going to be kind of bulky right through there. So I did fold it in half. I trimmed the V, and then I kind of wanted my edges to be the same. So I folded these up. Just kind of wrap that around. Making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. And then I just traced that so that my angle on my pocket would look pretty much the same. Another just little, you know, you don't really have to do that if you don't want, but you can. There we go. So now I'm going to fold that back so the flaps are to the inside. Okay. Oh, and that's not straight across the top now. Weird. No reason why it shouldn't be, but it just isn't. Okay, so they look marginally the same, give or take. And then that goes in there. Okay, so now we are going to sew these up really fast and decorate. I'll show you on the one, and then I'll go through and do the other one. I'm gonna grab out my red, oops. Probably should have gotten it out of this suitcase already. Let's see, I am just using like cotton crochet thread, and then I wax it up with some beeswax. There's my needle, and my scissors. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then I'm just gonna double that because I know that they're roughly the same height, so there's no need to keep measuring things over and over again. I should use these. These I'm using specifically for bookbinding because they're not paper scissors, and so they should stay sharp, you know, because I'm only using them on thread. Okay, and then what I do, I don't think it'll work to do 2 at a time. But these are just those little beeswax things you can get in the quilting department at any like craft store or fabric store. Or if you know someone who raises bees, get some beeswax. And you just pull that through a few times until it gets a little bit of stiffness to it. Now, you don't have to do this. Again, this is a very optional step, but I find that it really helps my thread to go through, and to, especially when I'm doing a journal. I mean, these are just booklets, so really this step is probably not essential, but I'm gonna get that other end. But I like to do it just to know that my thread, now it has a little bit of stickiness to it, a little bit of weight, and I know now that my thread will stay intact. So I just used my big needle here. And it's definitely easier if you kind of poke those holes in advance. So I'm eyeballing the whole thing. I am not measuring. Poking one. Then I'm just poking in enough so that it catches this page. Since these booklets are designed to eventually just get used up and be taken apart, you could even just unsew. You know, if you got this as a gift, you could just unsew the thread and take it all apart if you want. But having it in the booklet form is very handy because it keeps everything neat and tidy, and you can set it on your shelf. Have you guys seen the new trend that's going around, the cluster books that Tina over at Shabby Dabby Doodah did? Now look at this. I have such a big needle and I can't. Having trouble threading it. It's so silly. Yeah, so she came up with this idea. With an idea to just, uh-oh, I just got that off. Okay, to just use scraps of paper and just make a booklet and then store all of her clusters in it, actually to just make the clusters on the pages and then it's all stored. It's neat and tidy, and that's a similar idea as this booklet. Now I had seen this video a little while ago. Well, I guess I actually do want it on that side. A little while ago, and then Tina's came out either end of February or beginning of March. I think maybe she did hers in March. So I don't know if one person influenced the other or not, but either way, it's still a really great idea to just have a way to store some of this stuff in a concise and usable form. You know, you could even just take these scraps of paper and punch holes on the sides, put them into a little binder, and store them that way too. So I'm not going to a lot of trouble to like double knot this or anything because again, this booklet is designed to get used up and to be taken apart. So I don't need to worry about it coming apart because it's supposed to. Next, I wish it was this easy to actually bind a complete journal. This is so low key that you don't have any threat factor. I was only going to show you one, but it's going very quickly. So I normally don't show you how to sew things on camera because they really, my books tend to fight me and it's a whole process and, you know, things come undone, but these are super simple. So here we go. Okay, so you go, if you haven't seen this, down through the center. Pick an end, either the top or the bottom, come back up. This is called a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Now you have two choices. If you want it real nice and tight, go down through the center. If you don't, you can go all the way down here and then push it back up through the middle. For these, it's when you have a lot of layers too, it's just nice to go back down through the middle. Don't split your thread as you're coming through. Go down to the hole that you haven't gone through yet. Come back up. Actually, my other one went differently, didn't it? Maybe I did do the other one the other way. Anyway, come back up on the opposite side of where this thread is. Okay. Pull your strings towards the outside edges just to get it all tight. If it's a book, you definitely want to get in there and check and make sure all the pages are really tight and just go through and adjust your stitching if it's not. But again, these are very simple booklets, not meant to be lasting throughout the ages. So I am going to double knot this one because it looks like it's going to come untied if I don't. So there we go. There's that. Snip our ends and voila! We have it. We did it! We made 2 scrappy booklets. Now all we have to do is decorate the front. I'm going to set these aside really fast. Put them back in my little box here. Okay, now we have 2 scrappy booklets. That's the back. Okay, so what I decided to do, like I said, I just added a decoration. I've added a cover, which is the envelope. You could just use a heavy-duty cardstock. It doesn't have to have a cover. Hers sure didn't. And then this one, you know, I just cut the notches so that the flaps would lay down. Now we're going to decorate. So what do I have for decoration? I'm glad you're asking. What I am using to decorate, you could use a variety of things. I have these little images I cut out of a seashell book, a very old one, but something like that. Wouldn't that be pretty on the front? And another idea is like these pictures from the gardening book. Something like this where you just cut out the pictures, a pretty picture from a gardening book. Those always work really well. This one's pretty, isn't it? With the window, the shack, and the climbing rose. And then this one was another one from a botanical book. See, you could just do something like that, really pretty. And then here's more of these kinds of things. Flower arranging book. You could just cut out the pretty pictures to make a nice focal point. This one's pretty. This is different containers for flower arranging, but just the artistry of how they arrange the containers is really pretty. This is one of those books, I think I said last time, it has all these little cute things down in the corners. I've been punching them when I see them so I don't accidentally toss them, but then that makes a really cute little embellishment. See? Upside down. See? Here's another one I just did a little bit ago. Isn't that cute? But there you have that botanical look, so it's really nice. Don't wanna waste them. So let's move these aside. And then this is a gardening book. This is one of the Time Life, the Encyclopedia of Gardening, and this one is evergreens. You see people use these from time to time because what is so awesome about these is back here at the back, they have a whole series. There's evergreens and ferns and trees and flowers, perennials, bulbs. The roses book is very popular. But back here at the back, they have these drawings that are already outlined. And so you can just cut these out and they make really nice focal points. I kind of like that one of rosemary I just saw. Oh, my mom has one of these trees. They smell so bad. The evergreen pear. They look really pretty when they bloom, but they reek. Let's see, let's find a pretty picture then. Oh, that one's pretty, the oleander. Actually, I think I'm kind of liking that one. Or do we want something with more color? Gotta still make sure I'm in frame. And it looks like you're getting a glare, so I'm sorry about that. It's just one thing after another. Oh, let's do, I like that one. That one's a little bit brighter. That's a hibiscus. So you do have to double check, like, okay, on the other side is this lovely gardenia. Do I want the hibiscus or the gardenia? Do I want this beautiful purple flower or do I want this one, you know? Wow. Well, I'm gonna go, it's a tough decision, but I'm gonna go with the hibiscus because of the color on it. So that's a really nice way to get focal points. And if you remember my video about pre-made journal covers, journal toppers, these would be great to doctor up and turn into pre-made journal toppers. So what I'm gonna do with this guy, I could do this with my ruler, but I'll probably have better success with my scissors. First, we're gonna make sure we get the correct side. I'm just going to trim around it with my decal edge scissors. Very nice, very nice. And then this one, it's mostly straight. I think I like the straight line, so I'm going to trim this up on my trimmer. So there's that. So that makes a really nice, pretty focal point on the front. Now I have, let's see, do I have anything that would look nice with that? I'm just thinking of just layering up just strips of paper underneath, like book page or whatever. We could use this music that was already meant to be collaged, so it won't hurt if I tear it up some more. Let's see. It's not making a very pretty tear. I'm going to tear that one in a big old chunk. And then we can lay it sideways so you can see more of the music. Or we could do it. Oh. Do it this way. Now it says Hosanna Forever. Yep. Actually, this is almost too wide, but it'll be fine. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna clamp it. And then there's this one with the beautiful hibiscus. And do I want music under that, or do I want like a book page? I think book page. So does this have enough? I want something with a little contrast to it, so more tan. Okay, so you are like that. It won't show. I'm just trying to figure out if I back the whole thing, is it too much? Is it too wide, you know, for this? Need another clamp. It's nice to have the booklets lay flat when you're trying to figure this stuff out. So I'm gonna just do it like that. And honestly, I don't think that fleur-de-lis is actually doing anything to enhance this image, so I'm going to tear that off, which is too bad. Would have loved to have saved it, but no. Okay, so there's that. You could do anything on the front or nothing, however you want. I'm just trying to keep them simple. Okay, so first, where's my glue book? Got all kinds of papers over here and my glue stick. Might work better if I spread that flat for gluing. Again, I could ink around these edges. Again, did I say that yet? I think I did. That's why I'm saying again. Anyway, you could definitely ink around the edges. Goodness. This is what happens when you try to talk without having your brain fully engaged. It's unfortunate, isn't it? I will ink around this, I think, just so the white stands out a little bit. You could ink in pink too. I just don't have pink on the table, but I think that would look really nice. That would probably be my preference if I had a second to plan it out. There we go. So these glossy book pages sometimes, you know, don't like the glue as well as the regular matte paper. Very pretty. And then you could even add a word or a label if you wanted, which I'm not going to do because I don't have any words handy and I'm not that worried about it. Like I said, I'm just keeping mine kind of simple. I think I can get some of that glue off there with this wet wipe. There we go. That's better. Much better. Okay, so there's the front of that one. Now let's do this one. Let's see, that needed to be torn along there. That was too straight. Maybe I will give it a little ink on this one too. I do like the gold background on these envelopes. I like it a lot. And let's ink this one. I know I chose straight edges. Now I'm thinking maybe I should have deckled it. Probably should have trimmed it closer. Let me try that for a sec. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Much better. Yeah, that looks better, and then it will fit on that envelope better, on the cover better. So it's kind of like a mini journal. I mean, you could make this into a mini journal. But really the point is just to have your scraps handy so you can use them however you want. Like I said, in the video I saw, she was using them to stamp. And part of that's because when she has her stamp, she can look the stamped images ready. She can just look through her book and see how they need, you know, what they look like, and then use them accordingly instead of having them all pre-cut or in a pile or whatever. So you got to do what works for you, you know. You just have to figure out a system that is good for you and just take other people's ideas and run with them and yeah, just have fun, right? If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. There we go. I'm going to be a little careful with this because this is a very old book page, I think from the 60s. It's not as fragile as some, but look at how fast it's absorbing the glue because it's so dry. A little extra for you. I'm gonna put some right in the middle just to make sure it sticks. Make sure I've got my image going right side up. There we go. Nice. Let's put the cap back on the glue. Get the clip out of the way. Okay. So here we have our 2 Scrappy booklets. You could even tie, depending on what you're doing with it. Again, if you're just going to use it for storage, don't mess with it. If you're giving it to a friend, you could tie it up with some seam binding, the hem tape. That would be really cute, just so it stays shut. You could just clamp it with a paper clip or a bullnose clip, whatever you want. But there's the 2 that we just made, and here's my prototype that I showed you. Let me clear this away and I will be right back. Okay, so I am back, and you'll notice that I have added in here the double journal index cards that we made last time. Double journal cards out of index cards. Yeah, like that. Okay, so I did actually have a purpose for why I wanted to show you these on camera, besides the fact that they are really cool and fun to make. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my Ko-fi site because I have been working on it. And part of that, when you go to the Ko-fi site, there's a section where you can just give me a tip or quote, buy me a coffee. And the minimum donation suggested is $2. You can do that anytime you want. That's fine. Along with that is another way to help support the channel, and that is through membership tiers. And it's similar to like a Patreon where you have different levels and people can support you monthly at different amounts. I feel that my levels that I have set are very reasonable, and with each tier you get different benefits. So if you're a monthly supporter, then you get certain perks on top of, you know, what the freebies and things that I'm offering on that site. The different levels build, and so at the basic level you get certain things, and then at the next level you get those things plus a few more, and then at the top level you get all of the things in the first 2 tiers, but then a little bit more. And part of that little bit more is that on the basic level you'll get a social media shout out from me when you become a monthly supporter. The next level, the middle tier, as a thank you, I will send out either a journal card or a tag. And so when I saw this, I decided that this was one thing that I could do, make pretty quickly and easily. And this is the thank you. These double journal cards are the thank you for the second tier. It would be something like this or something very similar, if not identical to this. Like maybe I don't use index cards, maybe I just use another base, but I collage it, and then it'll be signed by me. And then on the third benefit tier, membership tier, your benefit is that you're going to get one of these little booklets made by me. I have to keep it reasonable so that the postage is reasonable, and then I will be, when you do support me, then I will be asking you for your address so that I can mail you out your little freebie. But that was my idea. There is other stuff as well, like virtual chat sessions and virtual crafting sessions and some other things. I have it all listed out on the website, so you can check that out. My coffee site is down below, but that's just one way to help show support for this channel. As always, your comments, your likes, and your interaction on this channel are one of the primary ways that I get to know you and that I enjoy interacting with you. So don't think that, oh, I only watch YouTube and that's not good enough. Of course it's good enough. That's how you found me. You're here on YouTube. The coffee site is an extra step that can say, you guys can say thank you by adding a little extra support, and I can say thank you in return by giving you a little extra freebie. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a very fun thing to do, and I'm still nailing down the details, but by the time you see this, it should be fairly finalized. I have added some more things there. One of them is called a letter from the journal maker, and what that is when I send out a journal, I have a little blurb that I have typed up that explains, like, this is a junk journal, what is a junk journal, how do you use a junk journal? And so what I decided to do is to tweak that letter so it's a little bit more standard for everyone. And then I have offered it on my coffee site, and it's a freebie. So if you want to go and download that letter, you sure can. And then you can use it in your journals when you give them away. Now, the image, because they make me use an image to demonstrate, and so in the image I backed it on one of my coffee dyed sheets, but the actual download comes plain. It's just plain, so you can use any kind of paper in your printer that you want, whether it's printed stationery or your own coffee dyed paper, or you want to put in your own background, you know, using your own computer or whatever, you can do that. So I just left the basic letter blank, but for purposes of demonstration, it shows it on a coffee dyed background, and it looks really cool. So that's one of the freebies. I have custom journal kits. It's a service that I will offer to people at the highest tier. And there was something else. I put another freebie out there as well that are just like little words that you can download to use as labels on your projects. So those are some of the things, and I'm still slowly working on moving things over from my Etsy. As they expire off of there, the things that people have been interested in, I'm going to move over to coffee, and then the other things that have just not received any interest or traffic, they're just going to fade away. And then I have a few printables that I am keeping on Etsy because they have actually received traffic, and been purchased, and so I think that's probably a good place for them over there for now. They're the definitions, like the character cards and the Fruit of the Spirit definition cards. And so that will have, and then also my journals. At this moment, the journals that I have available in my shop are still on Etsy. So I plan to offer those probably through the coffee site in the future as my Etsy shop clears out. There's a lot of features that Etsy has that coffee doesn't when it comes to shipping options and calculating postage and those kinds of things. So it just depends, but I feel like I can pretty much move everything over to the coffee shop and you guys can benefit from it over there. I just think it's a good place to go. So thank you guys for joining me today. I realized I didn't do the quote of the day last time. I was negligent. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot. Anyway, so today's quote, coming once again from one of these cute Mary Engelbright books. It says, "Nothing is so strong as gentleness, nothing so gentle as real strength." And that's a quote from Francis de Sales. Not sure how to pronounce that, but I'm going to go with de Sales. That's sweet. So here's Daddy tucking in his kids. Nothing so strong as gentleness, and nothing so gentle as real strength. So keep that in mind as you go throughout your day. Be inspired and do something creative today, and I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye-bye now.